This is Fisher Christopher. I'm going to be doing UFC 302 June 1st, Saturday at 5 p.m. That's when it starts. I'm going to be doing predictions and who I think's going to win those fights, starting from the early prelims and then the prelim cards and then the main card. The first fight of the night is a flyweight fight. It's against Andre Lima and NT. His first and last name are very hard to pronounce. I've heard a lot about the NT for short. I feel like he's going to win that fight by decision in the third round. Moving on to the next fight, it's a women's bantamweight fight. It's against Jocelyn Edwards and Aline Perez. I think Aline Perez is going to win that fight also by decision. Okay, and then the next fight of the night is a welterweight fight against Mikey Gall and Basil Hafez. I think Basil Hafez is going to win by submission in the third round. I think it's going to be, it's going to be a good fight, I feel like. Moving on to the prelim cards. The first fight of the prelim cards starts at 7 p.m. It's a welterweight fight against Nico Price and Jeremiah Wells. I feel like Nico Price is going to win that fight. He's a good fighter. He's got a decent record, 15-7. But, I feel like he's ultimately going to win by, I feel like, maybe knockout in the third round. That's what I'm feeling like. The next fight is going to be a welterweight fight. It's going to be Philip Rowe versus Jake Matthews. I feel like Jake Matthews is going to win that fight by knockout in the second round. He's a really good fighter. I feel like, he can execute well. He's a good stand-up fighter. I feel like he's going to eventually win this fight by knockout. The next fight of the night is going to be a lightweight fight, Grant Dawson versus Joe Solecki. I'm going to go with Grant Dawson. He's got a great record. He's a great fighter overall. He's a really overall fighter, overall stand-up, ground game. He's a really good fighter overall, in my opinion. The next fight of the night is going to be a middleweight fight. It's going to be Cesar Almeida versus Roman Kopylov. Sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. I'm going to go with Cesar. He's a 5-0 fighter. He's a newer fighter. He's not a lot of fights in the UFC, but, he's 5-0 right now. He's a great fighter. I feel like I've seen a lot about him. I've heard a lot about him. I feel like he's going to win by decision in the third round. All right, now, and then moving on to the main card. The first fight of the main card is at 9 p.m. It's going to be a welterweight fight. It's going to be Randy Brown versus, sorry for pronouncing this dude's name wrong, Eliu Zaleski dos Santos. I'm going to go with Randy Brown. I feel like he's just going to get the better of them. They're both really great fighters. I feel like it's going to be a good matchup. Both, counter each other in certain ways. But ultimately, I think Randy Brown is going to get the better of him. Probably going to win the first round. And the third round, I think LZU is going to beat him the second round. But ultimately, Randy Brown got the 2 rounds on him. So it's going to be 2-1 in the rounds, obviously, in the rankings for the judges. I feel like the next fight of the night is a heavyweight fight. It's going to be Zeltun Almeida versus Alexander Romanov. I'm going to go with Alexander Romanov. I think he's going to get the better of him once again. I've seen Alexander Romanov fight a lot. He's a great fighter. He's got, his game all around is great. Great stand-up, great. He's a great kickboxer overall, like that. He's going to get the better of him. He's going to be a knockout in the first round. It's going to be a quick fight, I feel like. Alexander Romanov, a really good fighter, in my opinion, underrated as well. And the next fight of the fight night is going to be a middleweight fight, Kevin Holland versus Michael, sorry if I pronounced his name wrong, Oleksiejczuk. I feel it's a middleweight fight. I'm going to go with Kevin Holland. He's honestly one of my favorite fighters. I love his game. I love how he boxes. He's a little bit of a trash talker, and that's why, a lot of people like him, and that's why a lot of people also dislike him. So that's why I'm going to go with Kevin Holland in that fight by knockout in the second round. It's going to be a really great fight, one of the fights I'm looking forward to in this card. Next fight of the night is the co-main event, one of my favorite fights of the night. It's going to be a middleweight fight. It's going to be against Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa. I'm going to go with Sean Strickland, the former champion. He eventually lost though, but he's going to get the better of he's going to get the better of Paulo. He's going to beat Sean Strickland's going to beat him. I feel like by knockout in the second round. Sean Strickland, also a trash talker a little bit, cocky. He does all this certain stuff, like that. But he's a really good stand-up boxer, stand-up fighter. Not a lot of ground game, but I still think Sean Strickland will be able to knock him out. The main event of the night is lightweight main event. This is for the belt. Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. Islam Makhachev, 25-1, a really great fighter. You know, trains with Habib, an undefeated fighter in the UFC. You know, they're really good fighters. You know, Dustin Poirier, 30-8, a lot of fights in the UFC. He's got the experience. You know, I feel like, you know, he can definitely knock him out. Dustin Poirier gonna knock him out. No, not knock him out. Sorry, he can't. He's willing to. You know, he probably can, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I really want Dustin Poirier I want him to win, but ultimately for the predictions, I'm gonna go with Islam by decision it's gonna go all the way. It's gonna go 5 rounds. It's gonna beat it by decision. I think Islam, you know, lost one fight in the UFC. It was a very early fight for him. You know, it was a bad fight for him, but he's gonna basically remain undefeated. He's not actually undefeated though. You know, Dustin Poirier, he's also one of my favorite fighters. A really good fighter. You know, the Diamond. That's what they call him. You know, but ultimately Islam's gonna get the better of him and beat him.